Imagine this. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. October. That kind of cold that doesn't ask permission, just walks through your jacket and sits down. You've been married 31 years. Same house. Same bedroom. Same side of the bed since 1994. You come home from the grain elevator on a Tuesday, hang your jacket on the hook by the door, same hook, same nail, and walk into the bedroom. Your nightstand isn't where it was this morning. She moved it to the far wall while you were at work. Your reading lamp, your glasses case, your alarm clock, all of it pushed to the farthest point from where she sleeps. You stand in the doorway. You don't say anything. Helene's in the kitchen, phone tucked between her ear and shoulder, laughing with Corinne Bledsoe about something you'll never hear the beginning of. You catch a fragment through the wall. Energy flow, the whole room feels bigger now. You pick up your glasses from the far side of the room. Walk to the living room. Read there instead. Your name is Roy Oglesby. You're 57 years old. You've worked at the Cargill facility on North Weber Avenue since Reagan's second term. You are the kind of man who fixes things with his hands and processes things in silence. The kind who retreats when an argument starts because winning never seemed worth the cost. Helene learned this about you early. She learned that if she pushed, you stepped back. If she cried, you apologized. If she raised her voice, you lowered yours until it disappeared entirely. For 31 years, this worked. For her, the nightstand was the first thing she moved. It wouldn't be the last. The separate bedrooms started 8 months earlier. My back hurts, she said one Sunday night, carrying her pillow to the spare room. Just for a few days. That was February. You're standing in October. Nobody talks about it. Nobody has talked about it since March, when you brought it up once. Carefully, the way you bring up anything with Helene, and she looked at you with that patient, irritated expression. The one that says you're being unreasonable for having needs. Roy, I told you. My back. You nodded. You always nod. Here's what nobody tells you about 31 years with the same person. You stop noticing the erosion. It's not a wall collapsing, it's a coastline. One grain of sand at a time. You wake up one morning, and the shore is 20 feet farther back, and you can't point to the day it happened because it happened every day. Helene wasn't always this. There was a version of her, 1993, maybe early 1994, who used to leave notes in your lunch pail. Little things. Come home soon, Slowpoke. You forgot to kiss me goodbye. You owe me too. You kept every one. Shoebox in the closet, 11 years. She found them during a cleaning binge and threw them out. We're not 23 anymore, Roy. No, you weren't. The crying started somewhere in the second decade. Not grief crying, tactical crying. You'd bring up something that bothered you. Her tone at dinner, the way she talked about you to her sister, and before you could finish your sentence, the tears would start. Convincing. Perfect. The kind that make you feel like a monster for having a problem. You'd stop talking. Apologize. Fix whatever you apparently broke. Every single time. The book club started 3 years ago. Corinne Bledsoe organized it. 58, twice divorced, lipstick that could guide aircraft. She brought along Patricia, who got divorced after her husband caught her charging vacations to his business card, and Renee, who left her husband for a man she met at a wine tasting and crawled back in 6 months. They met every Thursday at Helene's kitchen table. 3 divorced women treating marriage advice like a team sport. You'd hear them through the wall. Laughter. Theories about what men need to understand. Phrases that sounded like bumper stickers designed by someone who'd never been happy. Wednesday. You come home from the plant. The photos on the hallway wall have been rearranged. Your parents' wedding photo, the one your mother gave you before she passed, is gone from the center. Pushed to the bottom corner, half hidden behind the coat rack. In its place, a framed print Helene bought at HomeGoods. Live Laugh Love in gold script. You stand there looking at it. Helene's in the living room, reading. Doesn't look up. You get in your truck. You drive. 20 minutes east of Sioux Falls. There's a house on County Road 140. White clapboard, green shutters, a porch that wraps 2 sides. Your parents built it in 1971. Your dad passed in 2018. Your mom in 2020. You've been keeping it up since. Mowing, painting, replacing porch boards one by one. Nobody lives there. You pay the taxes and utilities because selling it would feel like throwing away the last place where someone was genuinely glad to see you walk through the door. You sit on the porch steps. Cold concrete under your boots. The grain elevator lit up in the distance like a prairie cathedral. You start going there after every shift. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. You sand the kitchen cabinets. Fix the faucet your dad never got to. Repaint the bedroom your mom kept exactly as it was when you left in '92. Helene doesn't ask where you go. Not once. And here's what starts to happen. Monday. You come home at 7 instead of 5:30. No explanation. Helene's on the couch watching something on her tablet. She glances up. Dinner's in the fridge. You heat it up. You eat in silence. She doesn't ask where you've been. Tuesday, same. You come home, shower, red in the living room. She walks past you like you're a piece of furniture she's considering moving next. Wednesday. She mentions her sister's birthday dinner. Saturday at Minerva's. You say, I have plans. She blinks. You've never had plans on a Saturday in 31 years. Plans. I'm working on the house. She doesn't ask which house. Thursday, book club night. You don't come home at all. Sleep at the parents' place. The guest bed your mother made up in 2019, the last time your brother visited. The sheets still smell like the detergent she used. Friday. Helene texts you for the first time in years. Are you coming home tonight? You reply. Later. She doesn't text again. You're not punishing her. You're not following a plan. You're just a man who ran out of reasons to hurry back to a house where his nightstand got moved to the far wall and nobody thought it was worth mentioning. The following Thursday, you come home late and hear Curran's voice through the kitchen window. He's probably just pouting, Helene. That's what they do. Let him sulk. He'll come back with his tail between his legs. He always does. Helene laughs. Not a mean laugh. Worse. A comfortable one. The laugh of someone who has never once considered that you might not come back. Stay with me here. Because what happens next changes everything. Saturday morning. Hardware store on West Russell Street. You're buying wood stain for the porch railing. Deirdre Abernathy is in the paint aisle. You've known Deirdre 20 years. She worked with Helene at the insurance agency. Decent woman. Quiet. The kind who remembers your birthday but never gossips. Which is why what she says hits like it does. Roy, can I talk to you about something? She's holding a can of primer like she doesn't know what to do with her hands. Her face is doing something complicated. Guilt, maybe. Concern. The look people get when they've been carrying something too heavy for too long. It's about Helene. Something she told me years ago. I've been going back and forth about whether to say anything, and I think you deserve to know. You stand in the paint aisle of Menards at 10:15 on a Saturday morning, and Deirdre Abernathy tells you that 14 years ago, Helene got pregnant. She never told you. She wasn't sure it was yours. She ended the pregnancy alone, told no one except Deirdre, and made Deirdre swear to never mention it. 14 years. You're holding a can of Minwax Golden Oak. Your hands are steady. Your voice is steady. You thank Deirdre. You pay for the stain. You drive to the parents' house. You sit on the porch. Here's the thing about a lie that old. It doesn't just rewrite the past. It rewrites the present. Every conversation about children over 31 years. Every time someone at church asked, so, no kids, and Helene would get that sad, brave look. It just wasn't in God's plan for us. Every holiday at your brother's place in Rapid City, watching his grandkids run across the yard while you felt that quiet, dull ache, and Helene squeezed your hand like she understood. She didn't understand. She decided. And you were the last person on earth to know. The childlessness wasn't fate. It wasn't medicine. It was her verdict, delivered in secret, in a clinic you'll never know the name of, because she wasn't sure the child was yours. You know that feeling when the ground you've been standing on turns out to be painted plywood? Not even solid enough to be called a lie. Just a surface that looked real until someone stepped too hard. You drive home that evening. Helene's setting the table for two, the way she does, napkins folded, forks on the left, everything in its place. She smiles when you walk in. I made that pasta you like. And you sit across from her, eating pasta, watching her talk about the weather and Curran's new kitchen backsplash, and you think, every Sunday at your brother's house. Every baby shower you skipped together because it was too painful. Every time she held your hand in the church parking lot after someone asked about grandchildren. 31 years of a grief she invented, performed, and used to bind you closer. She reaches across the table and touches your hand. You seem quiet tonight. Just tired, you say? You're not tired. You're awake for the first time in 14 years. You sit on the parents' porch for 3 hours the next morning. You don't cry. You don't call anyone. Because who do you call? Your parents are gone. You have no children. Your brother doesn't pick up past 9. Helene made sure your world was her world. Helene's friends, Helene's dinner parties, Helene's social calendar where you rinsed the dishes and stayed out of the frame. The sun drops behind the grain elevator. The cold finds you. You let it. The following Friday, Helene's hosting book club plus a few neighbors. Wine night, cheese board, candles, 8 women in your living room. You're in the kitchen, rinsing glasses, invisible. Same as always. Corinne's voice carries like a fire alarm. Helene, honestly, you've got the most patient man in South Dakota. Roy would never make a fuss about anything. Helene laughs. That comfortable laugh again. Oh, I know. Roy's not going anywhere. Then she says it louder, turning toward the kitchen where she knows you're standing. You'll never leave. Confident. Almost proud. Like she's showing off a dog that comes when called. The room chuckles. Patricia raises her glass. You dry your hands on the dish towel. You walk into the living room. 8 women look up, some smiling, some mid-sip. Helene's in the armchair, wine in hand, queen of her Thursday court. You don't raise your voice. You don't make a speech. You pull the ring off your left hand, the band you've worn since August 14, 1994, and set it on the coffee table. Gently, like placing something you no longer need. You look at Helene. Corinne's glass stops halfway to her mouth. Patricia's smile dies. Renee looks at the floor. The 2 neighbors exchange a glance that says they'll be talking about this for months. Helene's face goes white. Not angry white. Not embarrassed white. The white of someone who just realized the floor underneath her isn't solid. Roy, you're right, you say? I was never going to leave. Leaving means there was something to come back to. You take your jacket from the hook. Same hook. 31 years. You walk out. Behind you, silence. The kind that has weight. The kind you feel behind your ribs. You drive. Not to the parents' house. Not home. You take the interstate to the overlook off I-90. The pull-off where the whole city spreads out below like a circuit board. City lights. Traffic below. The elevator glowing against the dark. You park. Engine off. Phone in your hand. Nobody to call. 40 minutes. Cold coming up through the floor of the truck. Phone screen the only light. The city you've lived in your entire life stretched out beneath you, and not one person in it expecting your voice tonight. You dial a number you looked up 3 days ago and never used. Lottie Gresham. Family attorney, downtown Sioux Falls. Found her name on the notice board at the courthouse when you went to pay a parking ticket last month. You didn't plan this. You just noticed the name. The way you notice exit signs on a highway you've driven 1,000 times but never taken. 3rd ring. She answers. You tell her your name. You tell her you need to file for divorce. Your voice is calm. Not angry. Not broken. Just done. Monday morning, 8 o'clock, she says. I'll be there. Sunday. Helene shows up at the parents' house. You're on the porch, sanding a railing you already sanded last week. She gets out of the car looking like she hasn't slept. She's been crying. The real kind, you think. Maybe, after 31 years of tactical tears, you've lost the ability to tell the difference. Roy, please. Can we just talk? You set down the sandpaper. Go ahead. I don't understand what happened Friday. You've never done anything like that. I know. So why now? She's standing at the bottom of the steps, arms wrapped around herself. October wind pulling at her coat. She looks small. She looks like the woman who left notes in your lunch pail 30 years ago. Because I found out about the pregnancy, Helene. The shift is instant. The tears stop. The vulnerability shuts like a steel door. For a half second, you see something raw behind her eyes. Not guilt, not fear, but the specific panic of someone whose carefully maintained story just cracked. Who told you that? Not I'm sorry. Not let me explain. Who told you? Does it matter? It was Deirdre. That woman promised me. She promised you. She didn't promise me anything. Silence. Wind through bare cottonwoods. A truck on the highway in the distance. Then the program starts. You've watched it 1,000 times, but never from this distance, this clarity. Like seeing a play you've been on stage in for 30 years, suddenly from the 3rd row. The tears come back. Her voice breaks. Roy, I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I was alone and terrified and I couldn't. You weren't alone. You had a husband. You just didn't tell him. Bargaining. What if we go to counseling? Real counseling. Not just, I know I've been distant, I know things have been. You moved my nightstand while I was at work, Helene. You sleep in a different room. Your book club friends laugh about me in my own kitchen. You told 8 women I'd never leave like it was the funniest thing you'd heard all week. Her jaw tightens. So you're going to throw away 31 years because of a nightstand? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm picking up what's left of myself. And then, here's where it almost gets you. Even now, even on that porch with everything you know, she sits down on the steps. Not dramatically, slowly, like someone whose legs stopped working, face in her hands. When she speaks, her voice is stripped bare. No performance, no angle, nothing you recognize from the usual routine. I was pregnant and I didn't know whose it was, and I was so ashamed I couldn't look at myself. And every year after that, every time someone asked about kids, every Christmas at your brother's house, I wanted to tell you. Almost did, 100 times. But the longer I waited, the bigger the lie got. And I thought if I just managed everything, kept things running, you'd never need to know. And you almost sit down next to her. You almost put your hand on her back. Because that sounds real. That sounds like a woman who's been drowning in her own secret for 14 years. I hear you, Helene. You say? She looks up, hope behind her eyes. I need some time to think. She nods. She drives away. You watch her taillights disappear down County Road 140, and something in your chest shifts, not toward her, but toward the possibility that somewhere under the performance, there might be a human explanation. Monday afternoon, Lottie Gresham's office. Papers filed. Clean, straightforward, no children, no custody, just assets and years. You stop for gas on Minnesota Avenue. Your phone buzzes. Text from Deirdre. I'm sorry to bother you. I thought you should see this. A screenshot. Helene's text to Corinne. Since Sunday evening, 4 hours after that moment on the porch steps. 4 hours after those stripped, genuine-sounding words. I gave him the big confession and the waterworks. Full version. I think it worked. He looked like he was about to crack. Give it a week. He'll come crawling back. He always does. You read it twice. Put the gas cap on. Sit in your truck. Every word on those porch steps. The shame, the trembling voice, the I almost told you 100 times. Choreography. The same way she choreographs the book club, the dinner parties, the bedroom furniture. The same way she's choreographed you for 31 years. Your tears used to be her emergency. Now they're just weather. You forward the screenshot to Lottie. One word. Proceed. That night, you sit in the parents' kitchen. No lights except the one over the stove. You make a sandwich with bread from the grocery on Cliff Avenue and eat it standing up, looking out the window at nothing. Not sad nothing. Not lonely nothing. Just the honest dark of a South Dakota evening and a man who finally stopped believing the person he believed the longest. You wash the plate. You dry it. You put it away. Simple things that belong to you. Tuesday. Helene gets the papers. She calls. You pick up. You actually did it. Her voice is flat. Confused. Like the remote stopped working and she can't figure out which button is stuck. I did. This is Deirdre's fault. She poisoned you. Deirdre told me the truth, Helene. That's not poison. That's medicine you should have given me 14 years ago. You can't just. We have a life. A house. 31 years. We had 31 years where you decided everything and I agreed. That's not a life together. That's a one-woman show with a stagehand. You're being cruel. I'm being clear. There's a difference. Wednesday. She leaves a pot roast at the parents' front door. Your favorite. Carrots, potatoes, slow-cooked the way your mother used to make it. You eat it. It's good. You wonder if she chose your mother's recipe on purpose. Probably. Everything's a calculation. Changes nothing. Thursday, a long text. 3 paragraphs about therapy, starting over, how she didn't realize what she was losing. She writes, I know I pushed you away. I know I took you for granted. Can we at least sit down and talk like adults? You read every word. You think about it for 10 minutes. Then you set the phone on the counter and go back to sanding. You're not being cold. You're just done talking to someone who rehearses her honesty in advance. Friday, Corinne drives up to the house. Uninvited. Red lipstick. Arms folded. Roy, you're making a mistake. Every marriage has its rough patches. You don't just walk away from. Corinne, you walked away from too. I'm just catching up. She leaves without another word. The divorce moves quickly when there's no custody and one party has nothing to fight over except the habit of control. Helene contests it anyway. 3 weeks of motions and delays and one voicemail at 2 in the morning where she's crying so hard you can barely make out the words. You listen to it once. You almost call back. Then you remember the screenshot. He'll come crawling back. He always does. You delete the voicemail. Lottie handles the rest the way a veteran handles a fender bender. Calm. Efficient. Seen it before. The book club dissolves within a month. Turns out advising someone through a hypothetical divorce is entertaining. Helping through a real one means showing up. Patricia stops returning calls. Renee claims she's going through something of her own. Corinne holds on longest, 2 weeks, before announcing she needs to protect her energy. Late November. First real snowfall. Helene calls one last time. I don't understand how you just turned it off, she says. I didn't turn anything off. You did. February. When you took your pillow to the spare room. I just took longer to follow you out the door. Long silence. Wind against the windows. Miles of quiet between two people who shared a house for 3 decades. I really thought you'd never leave, she whispers. Not confident anymore. Small. I know, you say? That was the problem. First night in the parents' house with your name on the deed. Not visiting. Not repairing. Living. Coffee in your mother's kitchen. Same countertop, same window facing the field. The faucet doesn't drip, you fixed that. You put your nightstand by the bed. Your side. Your choice. Nobody's moving it. Spring comes the way it does in South Dakota, reluctantly, then all at once. You're on the porch, painting the railing a color you picked yourself, when Deirdre drives by. She waves. Doesn't stop. Doesn't need to. Your brother calls from Rapid City. How you doing out there alone? I'm not alone, you say. I'm just not pretending anymore. She told you you'd never leave. She was right about that. You didn't leave. You just finally went home. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.